We're at the Lake Superior Railroad Museum in Duluth, Minnesota at the St. Louis County Depot for another behind-the-scenes video tours. You guys have been great with these. You've liked them, you've subscribed to them, and most importantly, you've shared them. So thank you very much for that. In fact, we would love you to be a member of the Lake Superior Railroad Museum, and you would love being a member of the Railroad Museum yourself. We will love each other. Wait a minute. That reminds me, Valentine's Day is coming up. Look what just came in. This is the brand new 4th edition of the Lake Superior Railroad Museum Guide. Fully illustrated, all color pictures, every piece of equipment in the collection is here in detail. Photos and its history and what we're doing with it today on the railroad. You can get one of these absolutely free for new members. If you sign up as a new member between now and Valentine's Day, you'll get one of these absolutely free. Now, memberships start at just $40 and they come with lots of perks. But the best one is you get this, the 4th edition, right off the press, brand new guide to the museum. It's a $15 value, $4 shipping and handling. You save 20 bucks and become a member of what USA Today called the best transportation museum in America. You'll love it. Hey, you know how they say necessity is the mother of invention? Well, if that's true, then railroads are the mother of necessity. You got to think, the railroads were a completely new industry. Everything had to be invented from the ground up. You couldn't just improve on something, you had to invent something. And I'm going to introduce you to some of the mothers of invention, the women who changed railroading. We're on board the trolley here at the Lake Superior Railroad Museum, and it kind of reminds me of an incident that happened to me a couple of years ago. I was driving down the freeway, it was a snowstorm, my windshield wipers are going, and all of a sudden, in front of the steering wheel, the windshield wiper went off the car and into the ditch. Well, I didn't want to follow it, but I couldn't stop right away either. So I had to stick my head out the window in order to see where I was going till it was safe to pull off onto the side. So, Mary Anderson had that exact same experience right at the turn of the century. She was riding in a trolley car, just like this one, in New York City. And what she noticed was, it was snowing. But the trolley driver, the motorman, didn't have any way to keep the window clean, look out the window, and drive the trolley like this. So Mary Anderson came up with an idea. And in 1903, she patented what she called the window cleaning device. And here it is. Well, you know, it never really took off on the railroads, or on the trolleys for that matter either. What happened was, it just got forgotten until automobiles started becoming more and more popular. And in the late 1920s, when they started to enclose the passengers and the drivers on the cars with glass windshields, guess what needed to be invented? The window wiper. Mary Anderson had the patent for it. But bad news for her, that patent had expired. She never made a dime off her invention that started in the railroads and made it to the automobile, because if you work it hard enough, it does all come back to the railroad. Underneath the trolley car, another woman made an incredible invention as well. Trolleys are powered by electricity, which means you need a complete circuit from the wire overhead through the trolley rails down under the wheels. Now, there's a couple things you need to know. One is, before Catherine Gibbon figured this out, to connect jointed rail together on an electrified railroad, you needed 28 different pieces of contact, and you needed 25 holes to be drilled. Now, they drill those holes using this device here, which is a rail driller. Locks onto the rail, turn the handle, it puts a hole in it. But imagine drilling 25 of these, and that's on each joint of a jointed rail, plus another 28 pieces to connect the electricity. Catherine Gibbon thought that was way too much work. So she came up with tie joints that just bolt together and then connect around them for the wiring, reducing 28 pieces down to just 4. We call them joint bars. In England, they're known as fish plates. Don't know why. Other women have made great contributions to railroading as well. Here's another story. The most dangerous part of the railroad is right here at a grade crossing, where a road or highway crosses the railroad tracks. In the late 1890s, Mary Regan was at one of those crossings and witnessed a horrific accident. And it just bothered her so much that she came up with an invention. She invented the first railway grade crossing, where the arm comes down and prevents you from going across the tracks. Not only did it save people's lives, but also livestock as well. Another female inventor that changed railroading. Olive Dennis was born in 1885, and she too changed railroading. I'm in the China car at the Lake Superior Railroad Museum because she changed it on the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, the B&O. And we've got a great collection of B&O china from their dining car days. Now, she wasn't involved per se with inventing the china, but she did make traveling on the Baltimore and Ohio Railway a whole lot nicer than it was. And here's how she did it. She went to the University of Wisconsin in Madison and got a degree in engineering. Not the engineer trained, but an engineer with pencil and paper. But being a woman at the turn of the century, well, there really weren't a lot of opportunities. So one day she just took it upon herself, walked into the office of B&O President Daniel Willard and said, "Hire me." And he was so impressed with her presentation and her credentials that he hired her on the spot and gave her a very special job, improving the quality and comfort of passenger rail travel on the B&O. And she went to work on that for the rest of her career and changed railroading with patent after idea, whether it be a better kind of cushion to sit on, or whether it be a bottle warmer for mothers traveling with their babies, or whether it be ventilation. In 1927, she patented the Dennis ventilator, which a couple of years later led to the very first air conditioning. Olive Dennis changed railroading for the better. And I have one more person to introduce you to that did the same thing. Because this is Black History Month, I saved our last female inventor for right now. There have been many female inventors over time that have helped the railroads become better, but Eliza Murphy not only broke into the railway world, but she also broke the race barrier as well. She was black, she was born in 1837, so she watched the railroads grow up, and she saw they had a problem with keeping the wheels from jamming up. She invented, not the bearing, mind you, she invented the wicking that brought the oil up from the pan to surround the bearing to keep it from freezing up. She had actually 16 patents, all dealing with railroad lubrication and wheels and bearing. Eliza Murphy, breaking barriers on the railroad and in society. Many great inventors over the times have changed railroad history. Now, you can change a little bit of your history for Valentine's Day by becoming a member and then getting that free 4th edition, hot off the press, visitor guide to the Lake Superior Railroad Museum, and it also tells you about our North Shore Scenic Railroad. It's really a great book. You get it, it's a $20 value by the time it comes to your house, and you become a member of the Lake Superior Railroad Museum. Say, if you want to learn more about how the wicking kept the railroad rolling and other things about railroad lubrication on wheels, we have a whole special on that, and it's linked right here. It's called tribology, a word for today. In the meantime, come back. We'll have more of these behind-the-scenes video tours just for you. In the meantime, though, as always, let's take care of each other.